I was really bad with money at the time. And so I'm like, I should probably give myself a bigger safety net than like living on the edge of, just making enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And then literally for that year that I only had a year of unemployment, and I really only gave myself a year. I didn't want to take too much. I just published content.
Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Rock Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Scott Voker, a serial entrepreneur on a mission to help you. This show is designed to teach you, to inspire you, to motivate you to take massive action and build a future-proof business. So, whether you're just starting out or taking your existing business to the next level, this is your home. Now, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's rock your brand. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 834, and today I am excited to share with you our next guest interview. And I want to give you a little bit of a backstory here before you listen in on this conversation. Now, when I first discovered this guest, and I'll give you his name is Matt Giovanisci. And he started a website over 15 years ago. And that website I found because I was looking for a niche example that I wanted to share with you. And I wanted to share with my Brand Creators Academy members, because I'm always looking at either niche sites or brands that have been built that have done a pretty good job or where they can improve it. And in this case, I found a website called swimuniversity.com. And I found that site and I was going through it. And I'm like, this is done really well. And it's getting a ton of traffic. And the numbers that I seen in Ubersuggest were around 400 to 500,000. And that was typically monthly is what we were looking at. But come to find out, after I talked to Matt, and I'll tell you how I ran into Matt, is I found out that those numbers were not accurate either. And you guys have probably heard me say that Ubersuggest is great. It's a free tool, but the numbers are generally off. And I'm not sure if it's just the way that they're measuring the numbers or tracking the numbers. And maybe it's just 100% search and just for the certain like exact keywords. Like, I'm not sure, but it's never right. It's always on the low side. And once again, it was proven to me because, well, Matt shared his numbers with me. And it's getting over, I believe it was like 7 million a year. So that's a little more than 450,000 every single month. And actually had some months on Ubersuggest that it showed it was lower than that because obviously it's seasonal, right? It's a pool business or pool, like how to have a better pool or a lot of how-to stuff, right? How to take care of your pool, your hot tub and all that stuff. But let me just share the backstory real quick, and then I'm going to let you listen in on this conversation that I had with Matt, which was awesome. So you're going to want to stick around. Now, I ran into him because I published a podcast episode that was talking about his website and talking about his numbers. And I knew that he was public about it, so I wasn't like sharing his numbers and then not that he would have really cared anyway, because it wasn't like money numbers, but I knew he was making some money. But he shares with us in this interview the exact numbers that he's making. He's also going to share the money that he's going to be potentially losing because of this Amazon little slap with the Amazon Associates program. So he's going to share all that with us as well. But I was emailed by him because he was notified by one of his friends that he was on the podcast or he was mentioned, his website. So he reached out to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm an open book. If you want to go over it, I'd be more than happy to come on as a guest. And I said, sure, let's do it. And then I also had Spencer Hawes from Niche Pursuits reach out to me and go, oh, I heard that interview. It was great. I actually had him on my podcast. You should really have him on. So it was definitely meant to be. And now I'm able to share with you all of the ins and outs of his business and also the other projects that he's worked on. He's also going to share with us his take action moment. He's also going to share with us some things that, well, didn't work all that well because that's part of the journey. But he's really going to dig into this process of building this business and how he even got started, which I actually kind of surmised the way that he got into it, but he confirmed that during this interview. So I'm going to leave it at that. You're definitely going to want to listen, because if you are thinking to yourself, I want to go out there and build a brand, I want to figure out, is this thing even for me and is it worth it? Well, you're going to hear all the ins and outs, and that will help you determine. And also to let you know that just because you might think something as far as, well, that market's too big, or, oh, that's, too many people in it, or, oh, there's too much competition. I think after you listen to this, you're going to see that in the pool market, like, really? Well, you're going to hear Matt talk all about it, and he will confirm that, there's a lot of opportunity out there. All right, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview. Well, hey, Matt, welcome to the podcast, man. This is crazy that I'm actually talking to you and how I found you, but how are you doing, man? How's everything going?
I'm doing okay, I guess,
You've had a little bit of a slap here recently. I heard something from Amazon. Was that a little bit of a slap?
That was a lot of bit of a slap. That was that was a kick in the nuts for sure.
Yes.
But I hope that it is a turning point for me and my business, and probably something I should have been doing more aggressively in the last 3 years. Because in 2017 we kind of got that, like, a little kick in the nuts, and it wasn't a full one. It was sort of like a graze. Still hurts
a little. It still hurts a little bit.
Hurts, but it wasn't as bad. And then, like, I was like, ever since then, I was like, I gotta shift away, not shift away from affiliate marketing, but sort of like not make it my primary source of income. And so that's, for the last 3 years, it's been building products, starting new brands, and kind of like diversifying as much as I can. And it's really just all been about like diversification for me.
Yeah, 100%. And I do want to talk about that. And I kind of want to give people, like, we're talking like big numbers for you. We're not talking about someone that's, making a few $100 a month and like, oh, I got a hit from Amazon. They're going to take, they're going to cut me 3%. Okay. That sucks. But it's like, we're talking like 6-figure probably hit to your business, maybe.
Yeah. We're probably close to like a 40% hit to my total business revenue. So yeah. So I think the numbers that I published on Money Lab were like $176,000 hit. What are you going to do? I knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. If you didn't know it was coming, then it's like, you didn't read Amazon, the everything store. Like, he doesn't give a shit, to be honest with you. So he's all business. It's all business. And if it's not working for him, then you're done. So didn't want to rely on that, but I did, and here we are. So I think I do have a lot of plans to change. I wrote a whole article about it. And I have a upcoming experiment on how to switch things over. I have other businesses that kind of like support, and have made up for it since. So we can kind of get into all that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. So, okay. So what we're talking about, why don't we get people caught up and just let people know the site that we're talking about is Swim University.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I found you from. I basically was doing a little bit of just, kind of some niche research. And I'm like, let me give an example to my listeners or, to my people in my academy. And I'm showing, like what a site looks like that's built it all on content. Yeah. And then from there, how they're monetizing on the back end. It just happens that you were monetizing primarily through Amazon affiliate stuff, and you had a couple of products yourself, digital products. So that's the main one we're talking about right now. So I do have some questions once we get rolling here, as far as even monetization and why maybe you were just using it. Maybe it was easy at the time, like whatever. And we can kind of dig into that. But let's let people know, first off, the kind of numbers, not even money numbers right now, the kind of traffic numbers that you were talking about from that one site that you've built content over the past 15 years.
Yep.
What kind of traffic are we talking about here, Matt?
It's about 5 million visitors a year. So it breaks down, and it's a seasonal business. So it breaks down to be about 400 to 500,000 visitors a month. And obviously in January, when it's the wintertime, we get more like 250. But in June, we get like 1.5 million. So it kind of, it's very split. So like right now, as we're talking we're in May, like prime pool season, like May, June, July, even a little bit of April, a little bit of August, but like those 3 months, that quarter, if you will, is like,
you're jamming right there.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I want to talk about, first off, I'm going to go back. Okay. Let's go back in time. Let's go in the time capsule and let's talk about Because when I seen what you were doing, I'm like, this is brilliant. This guy probably worked for a pool company or he owned his own. He learned about pool company, had a whole bunch of questions that people are asking about pools all the time. And he's like, I think I'm just going to start giving answers away to these commonly asked questions on a blog and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what happened? I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
It's a lot more years, right? I started when I was 13.
Okay.
So I had a job at a local pool store, stocking shelves, testing water, basically being a 13-year-old kid. You have an adult come into the store and they're asking a kid how to fix their pool, their $40,000 investment,
right?
Which is like, it gives you a lot of power. So I did that for many years, became like a manager of the store before I graduated high school, where I was like running the store by myself, that sort of thing. And then I left that company because I was like, well, this is a small mom and pop store, single owner, single store. Sure. And I went to another store that was it was like, they had a corporate office. They had like they had 3 stores at the time.
Oh, wow. And
I went into there as a 17-year-old. And I was the youngest person to be hired at the company with prior experience. Well, like the youngest person at the company, and then also like who the hell has prior experience at 17? It's in a very specific industry. So I quickly became important there and was working at one of the 3 stores and ended up getting to assistant manager position, got poached by another company to be full-time manager at a small mom and pop store and doing the buying and running the service department and stuff. And then I got poached back to the other company, was working there, so during this time, I think it was like, I want to say I was 20, maybe.
Okay.
I was in a band and we needed a website. And this is before social media. So this is like, I don't know which year, I guess 1999 or something like that. And we needed a website. We couldn't afford anybody. So I decided to just learn on my own. I bought books, like books on HTML, CSS. And I worked at a pool store in the Northeast. So in the wintertime, we didn't have a lot of customers. So I would go on the computer and like open up Notepad and kind of just start coding and seeing what would happen. And I ended up learning enough to where I built a website for my band. And then I was looking at that on my computer at work, and we weren't allowed to be on the computer on the internet at work. We weren't allowed to be on MySpace,
Right.
So my boss would check it. He would check to see if you were on the web, and he saw me on a website, and he was like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "Yeah," like kind of like thinking I'm getting in trouble, and I kind of was getting in trouble. Yeah. He goes, and he asked me, he's like, "Did you design this?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay," and he walked away, and I was like, "Okay." And then the next day he asked me to design the website for the company.
Oh, wow.
And so I started doing that. And then I was like, well, I'm good at website design. So I left to pursue a career in website design at another major web design firm. And like had to wear a suit and had to travel an hour for work. And worst job ever. 6 months I did that. And my boss called me back to his corporate office and poached me back for a third time and hired me to be the marketing director for the corporate office. So I was running marketing for 3 stores. Wow. We opened a 4th store together, and was doing like TV ads, print ads, mostly print, yellow pages, radio ads, the website. Yeah. Everything. I was kind of in charge of all of it, running sales, stuff like that. Wow. And so that is a little bit before that was around the time when obviously I was learning a lot about the internet and a lot about website design and website building. I knew about affiliate marketing. I knew about AdSense at the time. So I was like, I can build, like I've been teaching pool care since I was 13 years old to all these adults. And I had my own style. Like it was a very, I was a good educator, I've been told. So I was like, all right, let me start writing articles and building this website that I had this idea for. And I started it. I bought the domain in 2004, lost it because I didn't build the site, had to rebuy it back for $100 instead of $10 because somebody else had scooped it. And I then finally built the site in 2006. And it was like all HTML pages. I wasn't on WordPress at the time, and started just writing articles. And yeah, and it was called Swim University. The logo was exactly the same. I've had the logo ever since. I never changed it. Still like it, which is weird for me.
Yeah.
And then it was like a slow, okay, we're going to move over into, I actually designed my own CMS before I even moved to WordPress. And then I finally moved to WordPress. And, you know, it was just me. I was writing the articles, terrible writer, didn't go to college, I failed every English class. So my writing was terrible, but it was still putting content on the internet. I started getting into videos. And I was always into video, but never for the site. So I used to do it for the band, and, you know, just as like a side, like a hobby thing.
Yeah.
And once I did that, it was like, okay, I think I knew that was always going to be my business. I knew Swim University from day one. I'm like, this is going to be a thing for me. I know it's a thing, but it was a side hustle for 7 years. And it wasn't until I had, you know, so I had gotten fired for having that site. I'm at this company. I'm the marketing director, and I had to make a decision, because even though my site was global, like my site was, you know, for everybody in the United States, but I worked at a pool company that serviced a very small area. And so we sold, you know, pool opening service and closing service and stuff. And I'm teaching people how to do that online. So I kind of knew it was a conflict of interest, even though I keep telling myself, like, it really wasn't. You know, I was kind of on a different level, and I wasn't using my time at work to work on it. I wasn't looking, you know, I kept them very separate, because I'm conscious and I'm morally obligated to do so. And so I ended up, there was one day. So I decided when I started Swim University that I would go as an author, Matthew Stevens, instead of my real name, which is incredibly Italian and not, you know, my middle name, Steven. So I'm like, I'm going to go as Matthew Stevens, until I got a call from Martha Stewart's radio show on Sirius. And they were like, do you want to come on and be our like correspondent for pool care? And I was like, yes, I absolutely want to do that. And at that moment, I made a decision. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be I want my name to be out there. I'm the one who did this. And so I changed the name of the website. I changed my name on the website. All of a sudden I became Googleable. And my boss caught me. So, and he fired me. He said he was he wasn't mad at me. He was just disappointed. And I was like, are you serious? He's literally said that to me.
But I guess, I don't know. I guess he looks at like you're kind of doing something on the side, but I don't, because it was local business, he wasn't going for like global business, right?
No.
Like, yes, I could see it if you were trying to target your local area and kind of steal business away or help people. Like, if anything, he could have probably said something to you, said, hey, how about you do this? You create some useful videos for us and we give them to our customers to help them, to help us, to help them, you know? But
yeah, well, that was the thing. Him and I were working on an e-commerce store. Okay. And my thought was, I'm eventually going to tell him about this so that we can start using the traffic from my site to this e-commerce site. Cause I was going to be have some sort of partnership in it. I was under the impression at the time. And so I was shocked that he didn't offer to like buy me out or do something with it, because I thought this is an opportunity, not, but I think he just took it as, and I understand, I think he took it as, you know, I was kind of like his guy, you know, at the store. And because I was the more technical, like creative person, and he was like that too. And I think I don't know. I think it felt like I turned on him, but I wasn't, that never what I was trying to do, you know? And so, I mean,
it's tough, man. Yeah. That's
tough.
But
here's the big reason though, is he didn't fire me because of it. He fired me when he found out, after I had asked him for a raise, because I had gotten an offer at another company. So I'd gotten this offer. I came to him and I said, I don't want to leave, but I got a better offer literally 5 minutes down the road at a totally different industry, not a pool company. Oh, wow. I was like, can you hook me up with a raise? I'll stay here, you know, whatever. And cause like things were moving for me. And then he started researching me. And then like 2 days later, he was like, go, goodbye later. And I was like, well, you're firing me, but I have a job. So, all right. So I ended up working for this other company, more money down the street, more flexibility. And still working on my website. He knew about my website. I was working on his website. It was great. And I was there for a couple years, and then the company, I think, wasn't doing really well, or maybe there was some, I don't want to speculate, but then I ended up getting unemployed. And I knew it was coming for a couple months. Like, I had a feeling that my job was on the line, but not because of me. And I was like, I think I'm going to take advantage of this. If this happens, I'm going to use this to make Swim University my full-time job. And that is literally what I did.
At that time though, Matt, what was Swim University doing financially? Like
$20,000 a year.
Okay.
Maybe $10,000.
And what was that done at the time? Was that AdSense at the time, or was it affiliate products? Or
it was affiliates. It wasn't Amazon. So I had a relationship with a company called Pool Supply World, and they were on a service called Google DoubleClick, which is still a thing, but not what it is anymore. And then they moved to Linkshare, which is now,
I remember that.
Yep. Which is now Rakuten or whatever the hell they say that name. So moved over with them. I was getting 5% commissions. And then, so I was making money from that. And I was making money from ads. I was selling ads directly. I wasn't doing AdSense anymore at the time. Because I just hated it. It wasn't like the right ads. I wanted pool ads. I wanted
Right.
So I was going out and selling those myself, which was really hard to do because tell me if you've ever seen an ad anywhere for a robotic pool cleaner. They don't market to you as a pool owner. They market to pool stores, and then we buy pallets instead of just one cleaner.
Right.
Because it's like, how do you target people who own pools? It's impossible. You can't even do it on Facebook. So so that was a really hard sell to be like, hey, I'm a direct to consumer person. Do you want to advertise your one Aquabot cleaner to this one, person? Maybe. And it's like, well, then how do they even buy it? They have to go to a store, and so it was a tough sell, but I did make money from it. And then I was doing affiliates with this one company. And I was doing about, I wouldn't say 20,000, but when I was laid off.
When you were laid off, and that's when, a year. And now, so what kind of traffic was coming in at that time?
That's a good question. I don't know. And I don't think I have data that goes that far back anymore.
But it wasn't what it's doing now.
No. And I would say maybe 25,000 a month. Maybe. I don't know. Hard to say because it's so much higher now. But that was, I had to go from like laid off making 20 grand, or no, it was probably something like 10 grand because I knew it wasn't that much. And I was like, I need to get this to at least 40 grand. I need to get it to like, and so what I did was when I got laid off, I collected unemployment. I had been working since I was 13, so I got like a pretty decent unemployment salary. But I was living in my own condo that I had bought. I was driving a BMW. I was balling out because I had a job while everyone was in college.
Right.
And so I was like, well, even though I was technically making the same every month between still making money with Swim University, I was doing website design on the side to make up for a little bit of money. I was getting unemployment. Don't tell the IRS. I was like, okay, well, I can continue to live here. I'll be fine. But I didn't. I decided to rent my condo out, sell my BMW, move in with my younger brother, and cut my expenses from like $4,000 a month to $1,000 a month. Just because I didn't want to be the guy who was freeloading off the government and living the lavish lifestyle that I had. So I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, that, and plus I was really bad with money at the time. And so I'm like, I should probably give myself a bigger safety net than like living on the edge of, just making enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And then literally for that year that I only had a year of unemployment, and I really only gave myself a year. I didn't want to take too much. I just published content. I published content. I improved the website. I was doing videos on YouTube. I was doing the rap songs. I was doing graphic design. I was doing info, everything. Every day was Swim University. It's all I do all day. And then, you start to get burned out from that. And you start to switch to other things. And, I started creating other little sites, and I created a social network for dogs because I was really into PHP development at the time. And
Oh, wow.
so I was trying to do all these different things, and Swim University was just a constant. And eventually, eventually it got to 40,000, which was decent. And I was able to live off that. I was still doing website design on the side to kind of make up for the rest. I was no longer getting unemployment. I had found, and then it kind of goes from there, where I teamed up with my buddy Andrew, and we started a podcast called Listen Money Matters, and I was doing that full time. And then Swim University had a back burner, but it was still there. It was still growing, and it continued to grow. And I didn't do anything. I didn't do I didn't touch it, and it tripled one year. And so I left the podcast and focused on Swim University again, so that it tripled again. And then every time I put any focus in Swim University, it grows. And so that's been the journey so far. I think after I was laid off, it probably took 2 years to get it to $100,000 a year.
Okay.
So not too long, but again,
great.
full time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to back up just a little bit, because the one position where a lot of people are at when they're at this crossroad, or they're at this fork in the road. I actually wrote a book on it called The Take Action Effect. And it's kind of like the moment. There's a lot of these moments in our lives that they're pivotal, or they're pivotal. Like if you didn't do that one thing, or if you didn't get caught, where would you be? Is there something that stands out to you? Like the minute I said that, you're like, yep, there's that one thing. Is there something that you can kind of put your finger on and go, if I never did that, I never would have did that, or would have started that? Is there something there that comes to mind for you on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I thrive on negative motivation. I am from New Jersey. I call it Jersey Rage. My edge comes from that. I had a friend who's my bass player at the time. Okay. I was talking about building this Swim University site. I'm like, I'm going to build this website. It's going to be great. It's going to be every pool person in the world is going to be like looking at it. I'm going to make so much money. And 2 years of me saying this, talking out of my ass about I'm starting this website. And my bass player was like, dude, you need to shut up and do it already. Like, you've been talking about this for so long. He's like, I don't think you're going to do it, or something like that. And it's just like, and then it was like sort of a moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to show you, or I'm going to do the thing, because I was told, I was kind of like shamed into it in a way. Yeah. And I thrive in those moments. And that's pretty much like, if you tell me I can't, or you tell me that it's stupid, or you tell me what, like, it just gives me more motivation to like see it all the way through. Like just to say that I did it. And so that was that moment.
So you can kind of thank your bass player.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's your bass player's name? Just so we can give him a shout out.
Ryan Carlson. Thank you, Ryan Carlson. Yeah.
Because I think that those moments are massive. And like myself, my story, like when I was in the construction business with my father, I thought I was going to own that company one day. Yeah. His partner is what made me see that wasn't going to be the route for me. And it actually pushed me out of the business, which actually was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Same thing. And I'm assuming he was a bad boss, right?
I don't want to say he was a bad guy. He wasn't good at business.
Yes. So I have a few like things that have pushed me in this direction. One, I never, and this is again, thriving off negative motivation. My single guiding star, my North Star is I will never work for anyone else ever again.
Yep.
Because not that I've had good or bad bosses. Like I've had bad bosses. Right. The boss who fired me, like I liked him. I liked working for him.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with his managerial style at 100%. All. He was very micromanaging, and I was like, dude, stay off my back for a second. Yeah. Which I think, and my other boss was more lackadaisical, and so like I've had these bosses that I've liked and pieces of. But I was like, I can do this. I was teaching adults how to take care of their pool. Like I clearly have the power here. Like this is what do they don't know. It was very, maybe it was, I don't know. Now I'm saying it now and maybe it's a thing, but maybe I saw the flaws in our parents as a kid thinking they don't know shit. Yeah. I can do this. I'm 13. I can do this. So
Yeah.
like maybe, I don't know, like
Yeah.
you find out that like, people have different areas of expertise and not everyone's a superhero. So
Yeah.
where you could argue no one is, but I would say that is, yeah, there's a couple of those. And that's been my like thing. I
Mm.
always tell my mom, I'll live in a cardboard box before you'll ever see me working under somebody again.
Yep. I agree.
I don't want to do it. It would crush me as
Yep.
a person.
I think the big takeaway though, for even people listening that haven't, like, they're still in corporate America or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's just it's scary out there. Like, I got to survive on my own, but I want to, because I want the freedom side of things. But oh my gosh. But the one thing that we don't take into consideration is like everything that you've done, even just working for that pool company, built up a skill set that you could fall back on tomorrow. Like, you have so many skills now. I mean, you're building like, not just websites, but you're building like software and kind of and stuff. Like, you taught yourself. So like those skill sets, even though they might've been hard at the time, those are your new skills that now you can get hired for. You could, do a job for or something.
Exactly. In the pursuit of working for myself, I learned skill sets
100%.
that make me like, basically, I'll never be unemployed.
100%. Yeah. I love that.
And I try to do it too. I try to find skills too that are non-internet based. So I do know how to do other things. Like, I could work at any brewery right now because I know how to brew beer to a very like high level. So I feel like I have that skill that I've learned as a hobby. And I'm like, you know what? Even if like the whole world goes to shit, I'm sure there's still going to be beer and people are going to need beer, and I'm going to be the one making that beer. So
there you go. You go. That's just in case.
Just
a little skill set.
A little back pocket skill. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I love your story, man. And I love that you're open and honest with everything. And that's why I did want to get you on. And it's just, again, I think it's fate. Like, I mean, you're here because of something that I published, I found, and here you are, and we're sharing it with the world, and we get to help more people. And I really I appreciate that. So let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about like right now in the state of the internet, like what it is right now. We've learned a ton. Things have changed. Amazon has changed, whether you're affiliate marketing or you're selling private label products or whatever, right? There's all these different things that change. Google changes, YouTube changes, everybody changes. Right now, what is your primary like focus or advice to yourself if you're working on a website, delivering content to a market that is buying stuff or that will turn into money? What is your number one like advice for someone listening, or even just what is the principles that you follow today?
The principles that I follow today are, I don't want to do anything that is just to make money. I'm not a
Amen.
I'm not a natural born business person. That's a skill that I like forcefully had to learn. I consider myself more of a creative type. And so I kind of go above and beyond even creating like a how-to article on algae. Like I think I'll just push it because, one, I get satisfaction from it as a creator. And two, it's like, I know that it'll stand the test of time. Like, no one will be able to touch me because I put so much effort into it. And I do that with, like, if you look at Money Lab, which is the site kind of where I am more public about the things that I do behind the scenes at Swim University and other projects, that site is like just attention to detail. And that is like, that I guess will be my legacy of just, I can do whatever I want there. I do whatever I want there. And I try to do it to an ability. I try to do it to just outdo even what I think I can do myself, which I don't know if a lot of people think of their businesses that way. Maybe I'm sure they do if it's like 100% their thing. But I mean, even like the software that I'm working on, like I'm pushing it to such a level that I didn't know I could do. And I had to learn a ton of new skills to get it there. But I was like, I'm just going to focus on these like micro details that maybe no one will ever see. But I think that'll just make the software or the project or whatever you're working on be that good and that referenceable later. So that's kind of my principle and it's all about, the easy way to say it is like, deliver value to your customers. Like, no shit. Okay. Like that's the most innocuous advice ever, because it makes no sense. It's like, well, I don't know what you consider valuable. I consider, I might find videos more valuable than text. And I do. I don't read books. I watch videos. I think that I feel like there's more work that goes into those.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's more of a
You're more on the quality side.
Yes. Yeah,
and
that would be it.
And paying attention to the detail. And I think for me, the way that I'm interpreting that is, if someone just wants to come in and try to compete with you, they're going to have to compete with your level of expertise, but also detail. And that post is going to, like you said, stand a test of time. And it doesn't matter what Google does, because yours is going to rise above the top.
And then the same thing with the site. I know that I'm not this like Swim University can be competed with. Like somebody could compete against it. I'm aware that people are going to come and they're going to try to build a site like Swim University. They do. Right. I am still here, and it's still growing, and I really don't have to do anything anymore, because it is just, there's so many processes in place, and there's so much quality in the full product, because I don't look at it as like an individual blog post. It is a textbook that is updated every single year, and it is the textbook. It's not, no other textbook's going to come and say, we are that textbook for every school across the entire world.
Yeah.
And as long as I keep it at that level, then I mean, because all we had to do was make it really good and then update it really well. And that's kind of it.
It's good.
And it's not just articles. It's not just videos. Those are components. There's like the website itself, the bones of it. It's the attention to detail in the code of the website is crazy important. I developed a theme based on that, and it's a really lightweight thing, but it took 15 years to get it that lightweight, because it was complicated, and it has been complicated, and it's been like removing things, adding things, seeing the data, moving, changing things because of a certain, we all used to have share buttons on our website. Some people still do.
Yeah.
I had data that showed that no one used them. So guess what?
I have it.
Yeah. It saved me 3 seconds off my load time. That's like good riddance. And so, and then it's like building little things, like even all of the display boxes that you see on Swim University, like those were built originally by me, and then eventually became a plugin, and now is a like more full-blown software that you can buy now. So it is, every single piece of that site is like mine.
So, okay. So you're a very detailed person. You love code. You love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What would what advice would you give to someone that's like, so you said you don't like writing. So how do you create content if you don't like writing?
Because that's a great question, because
I hire a writer on a website that I'm not like attached to, that I just want to build to grow. But I'm just curious on your process. How would you do that right now? You know that you want to get started in this market. You want to write content. You hate writing. I don't like writing. I didn't, I barely passed English in high school like you. We're a lot alike. I didn't go to college. So how do you get yourself to do it, or who do you find do it for you?
So it took me many years to find somebody. And in fact, for the longest time, it wasn't until 2015 until I actually found somebody. I kind of told myself the story that I am the only person in the world who knows enough about pool care and can write these words down my way. Like I was like, I'm the only one in the world who could do this, because of these two expertise. Like I know how to use WordPress, and I'm also like a pool nerd. That's a silly statement. I realize that now in hindsight, but at the time, like I sold that story hard to myself, and I knew I wasn't a good writer, and I knew that writing was a slog for me. And the way that I approach writing, even today, is the way that I approach code, where it's attention to detail. And it's kind of weird, because like I hate sitting down and free form writing. I enjoy editing a lot more. And so what I will do is I will slog through writing, and it's hard, and I hate it, and I will take a million breaks, and I will whatever, but I will keep pushing it. I will keep taking that article, and I will keep pushing it, and I will keep editing, and I will try. This sentence could be said with how can I make this one sentence make sense with 4 words instead of, 30 or whatever. It's a run-on sentence. But like, I take each sentence and punctuation and words like individual lines of code and break them down to make them as like streamlined as possible. And that's kind of how I hacked the way that I write. Is I'm more optimizing rather than writing for creativity. I'm optimizing.
Gotcha.
And then it's like, also I look at an article and I say, and I don't know if a lot of people do this in this industry or any industry, but like when I look at, and I don't write pull articles anymore. I do help with them sometimes, very rarely, but I do. But if I'm writing an article for like Lasso or for Money Lab or whatever, one of my other projects, I will write it, edit it, like, and technically optimize it. And then I will go back in and punch it up. So adding jokes, reorganizing paragraphs to fit the story arcs better. Like just really kind of taking an article and like beating it up. And the same way that I would do like designing a web page. It's the same like process. And so that's kind of how I hacked it. And then obviously like hiring people to do, I have an editor in chief who does Swim University. She's in charge of everything. I answer to her. Okay. So like she sets the rules. And my first writer that I hired, it was the opposite. I would come up with a title for an article. I would do all my research and I would say, go write this article. They would put it on the site. And because I hate writing so much, I probably I wouldn't even read it. And I would just like let it go. I would just let it be published. And it was fine. And it wasn't until I was like, I wanted to hire somebody who looked at and cared about the quality of writing as much as I did. And I knew that wasn't going to be somebody like somebody you would hire on Fiverr or on, whatever. Like, I knew it had to be somebody I could Skype with on a regular basis. And so the way I hired her was by an application that was basically like, I don't even care if you can write. I care if you and I have the same taste. And that was what I was doing. One of my favorite questions I ever wrote anywhere is I was like, send me 3 videos that make you laugh. Right. And I wanted, because what I was trying to find out is, will I laugh too?
Yeah.
And if I find it funny and you find it funny, okay, we have the same sense of humor.
That's a great thing. Yeah.
And then the same thing with like, what do you think is the best content on the internet? Like send me a URL to one thing that you think is like the best thing you've ever seen. And I actually had a URL in mind, like it was a New York Times article, and she sent the same one.
Oh, wow.
And I unprompted, and I was like, well, there you go. And she sent one video that made me laugh out loud. Like, and I was like, okay, this is like, she blew everybody away. And then she knew how to write. She knew SEO. And I was like, who is this? Like,
yeah,
immediately hired her and was like, started small, started slow. Cause now she's full time, but at the beginning she wasn't. And it was just like, and it took a couple of months because she's not in the pool industry. She didn't have prior knowledge. And so you have to learn that industry a bit. I still had to do QA to make sure that the information that was going out was accurate and what we wanted as because we have our own kind of pool philosophy that things have to go through before they can get published, because we can do research, but the research may not match what I've set as our like fundamentals of how we can pool care. Yeah. So, and now she knows, now that's kind of her department, like, and still, and I'll come up with an idea and she'll say, we don't do that. I'm like, oh, okay, good.
Nice.
So it's like, and so like, I have that, and that's just been the greatest and like rock star, but my team's incredibly small. It's like me, her, we have somebody that does videos for us now who lives with me and is my partner in life. And we have a graphic designer and we have somebody that does customer service, and that's it.
I love it. Nice and lean.
There's a whole article about it I did because I did have a lot of employees, and I scaled back big time after going into debt and kind of like reevaluating things. And so, it's all,
again, it's one of those things that you learn.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up, but I do have more questions, but we might have to have you come back on at another time. We'll have to dig into some more tactics as far as like,
Or you can
I
rapid
want to
fire
pick your
them.
brain. Yeah, I want to pick your brain, some SEO stuff, but
Oh yeah.
maybe you can give us just things you've learned over the years, maybe something that you can give us a bite-sized piece of like, what is like critical, do you believe, to, and I know it's like, let's just say that it's good content. Let's say good content is a given.
Sure.
Like we got to deliver good content. What is something that you feel that content creators that are looking to serve a specific market, what is something that they should pay attention to, that you feel helps in the ranking for, getting your stuff seen out there?
Oh, are you talking about SEO specifically?
Yeah, if I can. I mean,
okay.
Unless you have something else to say. Hey,
no, I mean,
it's your question. I mean, if you want to answer it any other way you want, I want eyeballs. I want eyeballs on my content.
Okay. Okay. So this is like it's probably a bad answer, I think.
It's your answer.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So I'll take that. I think one of the things that I think is my superpower is the fact that I can code, right? I'm not an excellent coder. I can code in HTML and CSS and PHP because WordPress is written in PHP. And that was like the language back when I first started. I am dangerous, enough. I wouldn't, no one would hire me as a programmer for their company as like a software engineer or anything. But the reason why I say that is because there is nothing stops me from optimizing something on my website or improving something or making something better. Like nothing stops me. I don't have to wait for a developer who I don't trust or don't know. I don't have to, look for a designer to do this thing. And I know that's like jack of all trades stuff, but the reason I say that is because you are in the internet business and I know how the internet is built and how it works and how to manipulate it any way that I want to and as fast as I want to do it. And so I think part of the reason that my site does so well, besides content, is the fact that it is incredibly lean. It is incredibly fast. And this is all done on purpose. I actually have an entire course on page speed. Shit that I didn't want to learn. It's hard. It's hard stuff, but this is my life. This is my entire business. I better know how it works. And I know how to format articles with, H2 tags and H1 tags and all kinds of that stuff. I know how to do data schema stuff. I know what Google wants the data to be formatted like so that it has the best chance for ranking. I know what they, it's just understanding the robots and then the content is for the people. And so I think it's a twofold approach.
It's a great analogy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. Like you got to give the robot Google what they want. And then you got to give the people showing up what they want.
It's got to give the robot easy food to digest and then also give easy food to digest for the people. So you got to do it for both.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. So, okay. So basically, obviously, having a site that is easy to load, easy to maneuver, and then also the content is also structured in a way that is giving the search engine, the robots, what they actually want.
Yeah.
And so let's go this way real quick. So as far as like, what are the most important parts of the actual article itself, would you say?
Load, how fast it loads.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing you can do is add lazy loading to your site. WP Rocket has a good plugin if you use WordPress. That's free. I think having like just basic formatting stuff. I think distractions, pop-ups, all that stuff need to go away because that, yes, it does increase it might increase your email list, but I would question whether those people are even worth having on your email list, a large percentage of them. Because they're putting their name in a pop-up. Like who does it? Like we don't do that as website runners, right? So okay, right. Are we more evolved? Of course, yes. So that's in the internet space, different. Like we're more engaged, and that's the answer to that. Removing distractions, focusing on the content, making the content like you want an H1 tag as your title, duh.
Mhm.
You want H2 tags to be descriptive, but also keyword friendly. You want paragraphs to be 2-3 sentences max. Length is not all that important anymore. It used to, there's arguments to say that like, oh, it has to be at least 2,000 words. It's like, no, it just has to answer the question. Google is slowly trying to answer questions and not use your website. So you need to be more like that. You need to be very quick at answering questions. Like, when's the last time you went on a recipe blog and you were like, just tell me what the recipe is. I don't need your life story.
Right.
Same thing in like how-to articles. I don't need 12,000 words to tell me how to, start a blog. Just tell me what just give me the answers. And do it in a creative and good way, and do it in a, entertaining way, but also like format it so that it's easy to digest.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's kind of an art form. It's kind of a technical skill. It's like, I kind of think of it like brewing, where there's like definitely science involved, but then there's definitely like feel involved in it. Like, cause you have to kind of know what feels good as you're reading. It's like, oh, does this flow right? Is this good? Do I feel like I'm being taken care of? Am I getting my answers? That sort of thing. And so, that's what I
mean, that's good advice. I mean, it's basic stuff. Like you said, I think sometimes the fundamentals we kind of forget about.
No, we overcomplicate things as human beings. That's what we do. Right.
Yeah.
We want to add all the plugins to get all the possible little tiny views here and there.
Yes.
But what really matters is like, is someone going to bookmark this?
Yeah.
That's what I always talk about, creating bookmarkable content.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like who really bookmarks anymore?
Yeah.
Like, remember like Delicious? Like, come on, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But if something is really good, you bookmark that shit. And and that's kind of like my, and it still works, it's like, or will this be emailed to somebody,
No, that's awesome. Yeah. No, man, this has been great. Like I said, I want to dig into more stuff. We could go here for hours, but we'll have to have you back on. I do want to go in a couple different directions when I do have you back on. But for now, we've given people, a lot of things to consider, but also, I'm having these interviews for people to be, number one, inspired, motivated, and also just seeing that when you take action, you do get results, no matter if they're good or bad. You're learning, you're building a skill set. And I think you're proof of that. And you're also proof that consistency and committing to something pays off, right? It's like so many people want to, they see the Lamborghini and the yacht and they say they can make it in 30 days. And it's like, that's all BS. We all know it. But yet a lot of people are still falling prey to that. And I don't like that. So it's like, I want to get people on like you that's like, you know what? It takes work, but it's worth it, because I'm not working for someone ever again. Right. Not happening.
Not happening.
So to really wrap this up, let me ask you, so what's your most exciting project that you're working on right now?
Lasso is we literally just talked about it for 4 hours, and we are so pumped about this software.
Tell me about it.
Okay. It is it's affiliate marketing software for WordPress.
Okay.
And a couple of things that it can do. It's sort of like, imagine if you could have a URL to a affiliate link. Doesn't matter. Amazon link, ConvertKit link, whatever it is, right? You can go in and you can type in a keyword, like say it's ConvertKit, the keyword of the thing. It will go across your website. It will find every time you mention the word ConvertKit, and with a click of a button, you can turn that word into an affiliate link.
Oh, wow.
The other thing you can do is you can add display boxes with different themes across your website, so that's basically what I built on Swim University, was this like early version where we actually, we connect to the Amazon API, where we pull down the price, the image, title, all that stuff. And then we create this like display box that shows you all this stuff. And it increased my conversion rates to WordPress or to Amazon. And it also does it across the board because it just makes the product stand out. And not only can you just add those displays, you can add grids, you can reorder those grids. So you can like basically turn your website into an e-commerce like store, but with affiliate links. And on top of that, it has like reporting in there that you can see like where you're linking to things, what you're doing. We have, we're coming out with comparison tables in the next few months. It's just, you got to see it to believe it. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm
was
getting
gonna say,
excited as you're talking about it.
I was just going to say, I was talking to a friend who's in the affiliate marketing space, and it was the first time I showed it to him. I didn't expect anything, and he was very impressed, which was shocking to me, just because I had no one there, And then he was like, "You've outdone yourself, because this is like pretty cool." And we worked 2 years on this thing, and we recently redesigned it, and I'm really proud of the interface, the design, the new logo, everything, the attention to detail. It's been I put everything into it that I had. We're not done.
I've seen what you've done on Swim University. And I know that plugin has been used on Swim University, correct?
Yeah, for 4 years. But it was it started as a function that I just created. Right. And then it became a plugin that was I couldn't give it to anybody because it would break your site. And then it became a plugin, and then it was called Earnest, and then we rolled it into a thing called Lasso
this is built for WordPress as well.
It is a WordPress plugin.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, so right now
you and I look like one.
You and I talked a little bit before we got on, and I am going to have some of the resources linked up in the resources. I haven't had a chance to check it out. I am going to. I have 2 brands right now that we've built in the past 7 months. We're getting about 20 to 25,000 page views a month so far, which isn't bad. We are already starting to throw Amazon ads on there and stuff. But I'm going to test that out. So we're going to have to.
I can demo it for you after the show if you want, if you have time.
Yeah. Let's do that. And then guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a pretty link now, because I'm pretty sure that you'll want to go there and check it out. So if you go to brandcreators.com/lasso, we'll go ahead and we'll send you over there. You can check it out. And maybe I can even twist Matt's arm and maybe, I don't know, give us something a little extra, maybe something, I don't know. Maybe I can give you, I don't know. We'll figure something out. Go there. We'll check it out. Yeah. We'll hook you guys up. So, all right, let's do this. Let's wrap this up. Is there any last little bits of advice or anything you want to give the listeners, just, from your journey, but also people that are thinking of either I'm either wanting to start or I want to take my business to the next level?
Now is the time. And I'm not just saying that in May of 2020, because I know we want to keep these things evergreen, but now is the time. Yesterday was the time. It's just, I'm so glad I started when I did. And I am also wish I started sooner. Yeah. And, you will learn. You will learn as you go. You will not be perfect when you start. You will actually be crappy when you start. And every time I start something new, I'm very bad at it. And then it becomes, I focus on it and I get a little bit better. And it's like, okay, whatever. And I don't do that whole thing. I think stop measuring everything, because life is too short to measure every single thing that you do. Because every time you sit down to measure it or write it down, you are missing out on life itself. I used to, every time I'd floss my teeth, I'd put a checkbox in my thing. I flossed my teeth.
I did it.
Dude, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
Come on. Just be present.
Yep. Dude, man, you're speaking to me in such of my language. Have you read the book, The Carpenter, from John Gordon?
No, I've not.
Dude, you got to check it out.
No,
I'm recommending to anybody. I'm actually interviewing him, I believe next week. So he'll be airing on one of our expert interviews coming up. John Gordon, he also wrote The Energy Bus. I think you would like that as well. They're very short reads. They're about, I don't know, maybe 200 pages, if that, sometimes 150, 175, but they're kind of like short stories, but they're always relatable from a character and the person that's being taught the lesson. And it's what you're saying right here about being in the present, doing what's true, be a giver, love, and just give and do what you're supposed to do, man. Just go with your heart. And I think, life is too short. Yeah. And I think
life is just too short.
Dude, I got to do a presentation tonight, which after this airs, it'll be already done, but I'm presenting for Sellers Summit, which is an e-commerce. And my whole talk is really about that. Is listen, we can be busy all day long. We can be busy doing what we think is productive, but it really isn't. And we're missing out on something else. If you love working on your code, then do your code. But if you don't do it. Right? True. So anyway, all right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much, Matt, for coming on. I think that this whole thing has really opened my eyes just to how small the internet is, because here I did a little podcast episode about your site and here you are and delivering value. And I think that we're also going to have a friendship here. So I really appreciate you coming on, man. I truly do. And I want to have you back. Definitely want to have you back.
Thanks for having me. And absolutely.
Yeah. And guys, what we'll do is we'll link up everything for Matt. Matt, what's the best way that people can just get in touch with you?
Moneylab.co.
You got it
there.
man.
You can sign up. Everything. That's kind of where I live.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've checked it out. It looks awesome and great information. It's true and it's raw and non-censored, by the way.
Non-censored. Yeah, be careful.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate it. And I'll be in touch, brother. All right. Well, hopefully you are inspired and motivated to get out there and make it happen, because if Matt can do it, if I can do it, you can do it. But you have to get out there and take some action. And that's what Matt has done. And I love his story because it's a lot like mine. Started working for, someone at an early age. I was working for my father's construction company. He was working for a pool company, learned the trade, and then started to document that and actually help people with what he was doing in the pool shop. In my case, I'm not teaching construction, but a lot of my stuff does kind of look like building a house. And that's why I always talk about building your home base. But I also want you to make sure that you go back and maybe listen to this one again or parts of this one again, because there's a lot of nuggets there. If you want the show notes to this episode, head over to brandcreators.com/834. Again, that's brandcreators.com/834. You can get all the show notes, the transcripts, the links that we talked about there. You'll get a link also to Matt's stuff that he's working on. He's always over there in his lab, kind of working away. So check him out. And also his tool, Lasso. So guys, that's it. That's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. And as always, guys, remember, I'm here for you. I believe in you and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me. Say it loud, say it proud. Take action. Have an awesome, amazing day. And I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now go rock your brand.